Hey everybody, my name is Michael, and today we're discussing about AI, artificial intelligence, gets its first executive order signed by President Biden. This was actually playing on the screen today. Very exciting to see AI in the news and regulation, just as with blockchain. If you came over from my cryptocurrency channel, it is going to happen. We can't stop it, and in certain ways it is good, because especially with this, where it's a lot more powerful and it has a lot greater reach than blockchain, there has to be some safeguards. And that's why this executive order is happening in the first place. This is the first of its kind, and essentially what it is, it requires new safety assessments, equity and civil rights guidance, and research on AI's impact on the labor market, which is huge. It's already having an impact, from HR to all these jobs that are potentially going to get replaced within just the next year to 5-6 years, and that's it. You're going to have potentially up to 12 million jobs that are going to be replaced, or they're going to change significantly, where suddenly you have robots and AI, and maybe you have a couple managers that are trying to oversee operations, but other than that, it's time to either change careers or time to look sideways. Is there anything else in the industry that I can work with that AI probably won't replace within the next couple of years, where it's still learning? So essentially, there's a couple points to this, and the big thing is there are 8 parts to this. One part is creating new safety and security standards for artificial intelligence, and it includes some AI companies to share safety test results with the federal government, where previously, voluntarily, artificial intelligence, some companies that are U.S.-based were already sharing with the U.S. government certain information, and they have agreed to, there was no action taken before, but it was a voluntary plan. Well, now it's building on that. So anything that could be unsafe that the government wants to know about, that they're going to be directing that to the Commerce Department to create guidance for AI watermarking, probably for deepfakes, to ensure that authentic videos and other art and whatever is out there, and creating a cybersecurity program that can make artificial intelligence tools that help identify flaws in critical software. I don't think any of this is bad. It is a new industry. There's always going to be regulation. If you look 100 years in the past, we're in Chicago, and you had all these meat factories, actually even more than 100 years. You had all these meat factories that, first of all, you had a bunch of injuries, so OSHA wasn't around. You had a bunch of underage kids working maximum like 16, 17-hour days. So first of all, you had a lot of stuff going on. You had to have overtime. You had to have laws regarding child labor. And then you had food safety laws. The FDA had to come about. And if you ever read Upton Sinclair's book, The Jungle, it was crazy what was going on in Chicago. So essentially with that, the government had to step in. I am parked in the middle of a park, and there's a bunch of parking spots, and they decided, let's just park right next to you. The government essentially had to step in and protect all consumers out there, because what happens if you buy really moldy and bad meat out there? Well, that was with a pretty hardcore industry, and we've covered a lot since then. Well, think of it like that, with planes, with aviation, with automobiles. Suddenly, you have the internet that came about. You have new smartphone technology, and now we're going into robots and AI, and this has, honestly, very, very severe consequences if it goes sideways. But with that, the next point, protecting consumer privacy, including by creating guidelines that agencies can use to evaluate privacy techniques used in AI. That's, well, pretty standard. Again, a big part of this will be protecting the average consumer out there from falling prey to scams and having their data stolen or being used, misrepresented in certain ways, whether that is a very powerful official, a powerful politician, company CEO, anybody who has billions of dollars, or just your average Joe Blow from, hey, potentially he's getting scammed because he had 2 photos on Facebook that some hacker used and turned it into AI and now is blackmailing him. The next point, advancing equity and civil rights by providing guidance to landlords and federal contractors to help avoid AI algorithms furthering discrimination, and creating best practices on the appropriate role of AI in the justice system, including when it's used in sentencing, risk assessments, and crime forecasting. So I just posted, by the way, new AI channel. This is coming onto my main channel, Cryptocurrency, because this is Web 3.0. It's all kind of together. It is the next technology. It's a huge revolution. If you have not subscribed over to my secondary channel all about artificial intelligence, please do. We posted a video there about how the new Giant Oak search tool is being used by ICE, Immigration Services, by the government already to scan social media pages of potential visa applicants to see and assign a score of 1 to 100 to see if there's a lot of risk involved with approving that visa. So already, this is where that comes into play. You have landlords, you have HR, you have governments that are using AI to assess, should we approve for this lease? Should we approve for this job? Should we approve for them to come into a country? AI takes a look at, I don't know what these parameters are going to be, but this is thinking into the future. Forwards, there's probably going to be a lot of stuff they're looking at, from what was written in the application to anything online about this individual to, I don't know, their previous credit habits, whatever, financials, and it's going to be able to help, hopefully without discrimination, and that's why that point is there, choose the best applicant. Now, the next point is protecting consumers overall by directing the Department of Health and Human Services to create a program to evaluate potentially harmful AI-related healthcare practices and creating resources on how educators can responsibly use AI tools. This is huge because already artificial intelligence is used approximately, on another video we discussed, approximately 99% of research currently in science that's on the latest stuff is using AI already to find out what's the latest antibiotic. How can we cure cancer? How can we cure Alzheimer's, tinnitus, all of these crazy poisons that are coming out, what we should avoid, toxins potentially, how we can avoid bioterrorism. There's a lot of stuff going in terms of biology and healthcare, and AI is being used for this because they're coming up with trillion points of data that, okay, what can we use to cut in half or even faster the R&D process to make sure that this life-saving chemical can go out there? Or how can we protect the average person from somebody else using AI to figure out what this biotoxin or poison can be that AI suddenly created? So there's a lot that goes in with this, but this is huge. Obviously, we want to protect ourselves. It's kind of like, okay, if there's big pharma, something happens with a chemical, well, there's administrations and agencies that could help prevent, hopefully, the average consumer from falling prey to this bad chemical. Well, going forward, there's going to be a lot more regulation regarding that. The next point, numero 5, supporting workers by producing a report on the potential labor market implications of artificial intelligence and studying the ways the federal government could support workers affected by a disruption to the labor market. Again, we're talking about 12 million employees just in America alone that are probably going to have their jobs disrupted entirely. And going forwards, potentially over 50 to 100 million people in America, probably within the next 2 decades, will be impacted by artificial intelligence and robots. It's pretty crazy to think about that, but we are heading there, towards that point of singularity. And right now, if you're working in an industry that is either minimum wage or something that is really repetitive, easily able to be done by artificial intelligence, either now or in the next couple of years. Think of what's going to happen 2 decades when, thanks to machine learning, these technologies are going to get so much better. They're going to be quicker. There's no overtime. There's just nothing. It's operating constantly 24/7. It's more efficient. It's more cost effective. It does its job without hopefully having the same liabilities as humans. Of course, companies are going to want to do this. Now, you do also have to realize that if you displace too much of the population, you don't want 100 million people potentially being homeless and unemployed and not paying taxes. So that's why the government has to step in. Okay, before you make a company that's completely controlled by AI, let's focus on us. Let's focus on the general market. How can this impact everything? Because we don't want to be stuck with a bunch of unemployed people who can't pay their taxes. So there's a fine line to be crossed. The next point, promoting innovation and competition by expanding grants for AI research in areas such as climate change and modernizing the criteria for highly skilled immigrant workers with key expertise to stay in the U.S. So obviously, you're going to have a lot of data scientists coming from abroad for visas. This is going to be a huge, highly paid, highly in-demand skill. Anything to do with artificial intelligence, if you're a programmer, if you're a data scientist, data engineer who's studying this, obviously America wants you. And with that, it's already kind of tough with the immigration process. But the other first point to it is climate change is happening. We're already seeing certain things going on right now. Anything science related, It's taken a lot of time to get to where we are currently, but let's try and cut everything in half. Let's get there faster. What can we do? Well, AI is here to help. Already it's being used to study the patterns of, what's happening in space and astronomy, but also what's happening on our planet with the weather. How can we control certain things? How can we stop or reduce greenhouse emissions and all this stuff, saving the environment, whatever. This is huge. This is important. Some people care, some people don't, but either way, we can't stop scientists from using AI. It is here. It's already happening. It's going to happen more. We got to support it, right? So the next thing is working with international partners to implement AI standards around the world. This is all great and dandy that America is participating in this, but what about the enemies of freedom? The countries that are highly volatile, and you have a lot of risk involved with that. Well, now comes in the Defense Department, and they're worried. They want to make sure that it's not just us. But first of all, our allies come on. We can convince them easily. But also, we want to figure out about these risky countries. Who's going to be on our side? Who can we protect against the nemesis for cybersecurity? And the last one, developing guidance for federal agencies' use and procurement of AI and speeding up the government's hiring of workers skilled in the field. So all of these points come together. Obviously, the government wants to be ahead of the game, which is always a little interesting, just like with cryptocurrency. Saw a bunch of old senators arguing over stuff that they may have not fully understood. But you're going to have a lot more people working in the government, working for defense contractors, working in certain government departments that are going to have to be highly skilled with AI. And for cybersecurity reasons, we want to make sure that the government's up to date on everything, and we're hiring the best people. So with that, I think there's going to be a lot more regulation that's going to come in the future. Obviously, there's going to be scams involved, just like with blockchain. There's going to be scams involved with AI, and we're already seeing it. And we're going to see greater advances in deepfakes, and that's kind of scary. So the government's probably going to come out with more acts. It was only a matter of time before this came out. And I remember the craziest thing is like science fiction class, right? In high school, thinking about what's to come, what's going to be there in the future. And already you knew in your mind, this is the future. This is where it's going to be. Just like we know, okay, probably the next generation is going to be able to live a longer lifespan. They're going to have greater access to healthcare and better medicine. And we're going to understand the body more. And we're going to know more about the earth and our galaxy's secrets and just crazy stuff, right? Well, it's here. It's happening. It's happening quickly. If you're not going to learn about AI, you're going to get left behind. Just like with blockchain, except blockchain was a little bit more niche. AI is going to be everywhere. Like it or not, it is here, it's going to stay, and it's going to only get improved upon. So the best thing is you can learn as much as you want about it to stay protected for your career, for your life, and who knows, maybe you might get very interested in it and potentially swap careers, become a data scientist, right? So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? And what do you think about AI? Are you concerned? Are you excited about this? Are you kind of a mix of emotions? Are you worried for your career or just like me where there's you see the good and the bad, but the good right now outweighs the bad. Right now, everybody has their own selfish reasons for what can be done in the future. Well, for me, if nobody comes up with a tinnitus cure, that's my number one goal. Right now, I'm here. I'm suffering with tinnitus. I've been able to survive quite a long time, and I guess I habituated, but it's still something I'd like to cure because there's a lot of people that are suffering greatly with this, and I want to ensure that there is a cure found one day. So if someone doesn't find it, that's my ultimate goal. If I'm able to gain access to money and build on my career, towards the end of my life, I want to invest in a company. If there's no company that's close to it, I want to create my own company. And 100% AI will be the way to do it because you have so much data. There's hundreds and hundreds of different different reasons, specific reasons why someone gets it. And potentially hundreds of different cures have to come out for tinnitus. Well, a human can only go through so much. Machine learning is what's going to help us. Once we get past the point of singularity, that's what's going to help us get into potential cures for really life-changing medicines out there. I'm excited, but that's my little selfish thing. Everybody has that, my grandma died from cancer thought, right? So I want cancer to be cured. Oh no, I'm worried about Alzheimer's in the future. All of this stuff has great potential. You've got a lot of healthcare and science improvements on the horizon. So there's a lot to be excited about. Right now, the good outweighs the bad. And hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully it improves upon. I think regulation is important for certain things like this. So nothing we can do about it. Overall, it's good. What are your thoughts? Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And if you're new, subscribe over here and to my other channel. And to all the recent subscribers, thank you so much. Have a good one.